protecting your mind. There ain't no reason for the fantasize. The moment's here and that's all realized.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Comments from the Peanut Gallery podcast. I'm your host, Jordan Kurtz. I'm right here with Hollywood's most humble. I'm sitting right here with my man, Jake. How you doing today, man?
I'm good, Jordan. How are you doing?
Doing very well, man. So right away, just to kick it off, so the people out there listening know, where can they follow you online or where can they see your work at?
So first off, Instagram, Instagram.com, Hollywood's Most Humble. It's going to be the handle. Facebook, Hollywood's Most Humble Productions. You can also find all my YouTube videos, Hollywood's Most Humble Productions, so HMH Productions for short. Yeah, pretty much all mediums. I try to get them covered. But Instagram, YouTube.
Thing, man, gotta have a presence across the whole digital spectrum there.
Absolutely.
So, but especially, I feel like IG is one of the biggest booming mediums out there. So having that presence out there, make sure that you give my man a follow right there. Hollywood's Most Humble. He's done some work with our Comments from the Peanut Gallery friends, as well as others at the Factory X Gym down here in Englewood, Colorado. So why don't you just kind of talk to us about how you got into the game? How'd you cut your teeth?
Okay. So I just finished up school at MSU Denver back in December, and I really got into film and videography and a little photography through my minor, sport media, as well as my internship down there. I was doing creative content for the athletic department, so putting together posters. I would do some of the sports photography for different teams and just a lot of different stuff like that. Not as much video, but just through my courses, I just really got into post editing, like we were talking about earlier, and just working in Premiere and programs like that. And I just always liked combat sports, and so on that side was just let's cut some highlight videos. It started with Brandon Royval, my good friend.
Shout out to Raw Dog.
That's right. His video was actually for one of my video classes.
Okay.
I totally didn't do the go by the assignment guidelines, but I did my own I got an A+ still. Yeah. But I was yeah, thank you, man. I was like, it's because it was Brandon, so he had a lot of good content for me.
That is true.
But
he's a savage.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, and I just went with that, and it was supposed to be a interview with a video of somebody doing whatever and I was just like, I'm just gonna do a highlight video and just straight across, throw it up on a little website like he wants, and from there I just started going in. I knew Youssef real well, and it's just one of those things where anybody wants promotional material, I'll help them out, and with that in any way I can. I can put together posters, I can, but yeah, the videography is definitely where my heart is.
That's awesome, man. And that video that you had of Yusuf, dude, that was awesome. That was good stuff.
He gave me some good material himself, so, and like I was saying, Mini Hunt's next, so.
Yeah, so keep in mind, Mini Hunt, he fights what's it, this next Friday or next weekend?
Yeah, in Tucson.
Right. So that'll be on Fight Pass. So I'm looking forward to seeing that one.
Yeah, no. So I'm looking forward to getting that video done, but probably gonna hold off till because there's never a boring.
Right.
El Guapo is what you guys call him down in Pueblo, huh?
Yeah, that was his nickname until he came up to Factory X.
Yeah.
And then he got
the American Bully
Mini Hunt,
and then Mini Hunt.
American Bully, Mini Hunt.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's just because the very first at a double take, he does look exactly like Mark Hunt.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. Yeah. Fights like him too,
Just lets it bang.
Yeah.
So. No, he's a good dude. I like Adam a lot.
Yeah, all those guys at the gym are, they always take you in as their own, and they're good guys.
Coach Montoya has something very, very special over there at Factory X. It's a family environment, and it couldn't have been more put on display or more evident than this past weekend at the Renegade Fight Night Series Chapter 2 down in Pueblo, where Selena Rowland fought, along with Markel Medeiros and Mario Suazo.
Yeah.
There was everyone from UFC presence from within the gym, all the way down to some of the younger, newer regional type of guys.
Yeah.
There was guys like Devontae that was there. There was Brian Camozzi that was there. Jordan Tutoni, Yusuf, Austin
Yeah.
Jones, all LFA vets.
Yeah.
There was a lot of presence from people within there that just everybody builds everyone at Factory X, which is
they're
awesome.
And I mean, them allowing me to come in and work with their fighters, and I mean, that's something I really do appreciate, because I mean, it's just there's a lot there to be covered, and a lot of, I mean, some of those guys' stories, and you know, and that's another, you know, I think you know, through highlight videos, and you can kind of show that, you know, like I made sure to show Youssef with his Moroccan flag, and you know, so you can kind of get a glimpse of these guys, you know, personalities through those videos, you know, in a way.
Absolutely, you know, shout out to the Moroccan Devil. He's a special dude, man.
Yeah,
he's
nice.
a great figure that I've been able to come across in my life. He's really definitely changed some things for me personally. So, you know, Yusuf, if you listen to this one, love you, brother. Appreciate everything that you've done for me.
Yeah, no, it's,
You know, with you getting into it and you still being very young within your career on the production side of things, where do you see this taking? What is you know, what's your goal, or what is your end game? What is the ideal situation for you specifically?
ideally, just this HMH Productions is just something that I can, you know, is my main income. So, you know, just working with anybody who needs, like, any type of promotional material. I mean, I'd like to say I have a pretty wide range of tools, and that's something I really want to get out there. You know, I can do photography. I can shoot my own video. You know, I can edit my own video. You know, you can kind of one-stop shop type of thing. Before then, though, probably like to get on, you know, some type of production company. In sports would be great. I did go to school for sports management. But yeah, just anywhere where I could create. I mean, you know, I wouldn't mind, you know, going back to those embeddeds for UFC, you know. I want to be on that team, you know, making those where they're just like professional. They're, you know. So I got a little ways to go, but I think just the more people I can work with and the more knowledge I can obtain and just, you know, work off them, I think would be for the better. So yeah, just honestly, I just want to create, man. I mean, that's kind of where my mind's always been, and kind of where it continues to go.
That's legit, man. Do you happen to have you came across Will Fox at all? Anytime that you've been at the gym, his Instagram is the Fox Identity.
I don't think I have.
But he might be a good person to maybe try to reach out to on a resource side of things. But at one point he was a guy who shot for Jackson Wink for years. He was a John Jones personal photographer for a couple of years.
Yeah, I
was contracted.
You
for
know,
the
I've
UFC
seen his
and all that.
Instagram. I've never met him, but I've seen him post Factory X, or like Factory X share his photos before, and I went and checked them out. Great stuff, by the way. I mean, it was definitely.
No, he's one of the best. In the
Yeah,
business.
I know. You could tell. You could tell. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I got to meet
appreciate
him. I was fortunate to meet him a couple of weeks ago, and he was there shooting Anthony.
Okay.
He was shooting
Okay.
Lionheart and
and Brandon.
Yeah,
that's
and
how.
Brandon
That's how
too,
I.
for Hypnotic. For
Yeah,
for the rash
and those
guards and all
photos
that.
came out great too, man.
Oh,
I mean, so I would like to be on that level.
Yeah.
To go back to your last question, where I want to be like that.
Yeah, no,
you know.
Will's the real deal. He's
Yeah.
a good dude with what he does on that. So with that being said, you're more comfortable behind the camera.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
as opposed to being, you know, the guy out front.
Yeah. I get, you know, I make some music, you know, done some local shows and stuff. Shout out Old Solera. So I'm, you know, I can get in front of the camera.
Okay.
I prefer not to, though. You know what I mean? And
Right.
especially kind of why I got more into, you know, videography and photography, as opposed to, not that you'd be in front of the camera, but like journalism.
Mm-hmm.
Just like what I was saying earlier, just kind of, you gotta really put yourself out there and stuff. With this, I can be more meticulous and quiet, and just, you know, what do you want, get it done, you know.
Exactly.
Kind of do it on my own, you know, sit in my basement and just, you know, edit, you know, for hours.
Right.
So-
Right. Just kind of sink yourself into the
Yeah.
moment. You know, lose yourself away from all the
Exactly.
noise of what's going on.
I enjoy
can totally
it,
understand
you know,
that.
so.
Yeah, that's understandable there. That's where I'm trying to, you know, learn more of that end of it. I'm a little bit more, I guess, experienced or seasoned on this end, you know, in front of it or on the speaking side.
Yeah.
But, you know, just like you said, being able to possess that entire tool belt of skills
Yeah,
for, you
matters.
know, all of your
Yeah.
production, it's a huge thing.
And I think a big part of it too is just being open-minded. I mean, there's a lot of stuff, going to school especially, because like I kind of found what I wanted to do in life through my minor, which I was already through my major. I mean, I did my minor like my last 2 semesters, so I was done with school then. But it was just, going back to the learning curve. Like, there's a lot thrown at me that at first it's like, whoa, my first time in Premiere, it was like scary,
Right.
But you just get on YouTube, figure it out, and from doing stuff like that, you get more comfortable, getting into programs and just not being intimidated, and I think that's huge. I think a lot of people are just intimidated by, what's in front of them, when it's like you just kind of have to just do it, don't think about it, just figure it out.
Just jump.
Yeah, and like in YouTube University is, I can't preach it enough. I mean, you can learn anything. You know,
that's what I was just about to kind of tie in and ask you was, for someone like you on that who is really trying to, you've learned stuff through school, but, I went through similar program as far as school, journalism, technical communications is my degree, but, there's only so much within a school setting that you can learn as far as all of your different packaging effects or all that sort of stuff that you can do for your production work.
Absolutely. I mean,
how pivotal has it been for something like YouTube for someone who's trying to build an entire business off of this sort of, ever growing? There's nothing that is ever static about what you're doing.
No,
Technology is always improving.
Absolutely.
The software is always getting better. Everything is always changing, so there's no one set cookie cutter model. How important is it for you to have a resource like YouTube?
Oh, I mean, it's very important. I mean, if I'm trying to do something in Photoshop and I don't know, I just get on YouTube, and I mean, it might take me a little while, but I'll figure it out, it's just, and it'll help with patience, It takes, this stuff that, people be surprised how long it takes to put together a minute-long video when you're actually, being creative with it. And going back to technology changing and stuff, I think it was, who was it? Mary Lou Williams, I think, said, it's not about what you play, it's about how you play it. I'm still a firm believer that, you could have the best program in the world. If you're not creative, if you're not willing to try something different, it's only going to take you so far. So something that, I kind of like to say for myself is like what I lack in experience, just graduating very recently and, finding it towards the, the end of my college career, I make up creativity creativity. I'm sorry.
That'd be good.
So it's like I'm just, I'm a very meticulous and detail-oriented person, so it's something that I take a lot of care, and you know what I mean? I do, my videos, at least my highlight videos are, they're very simple, but they're very intricate and meticulous at the same time, I take a lot of time into making sure this hits here, him doing this matches up with this part of the song, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. And I think the music goes a long way too. I have, my friend music, worked with him musically before, Malcolm Z, one of the best MCs out here. I mean, I'll vouch for him all day. I mean, and his videography is, shout out Malcolm Z and 33 Films. Like, he's on it, and he'll send me tracks whenever, and they work because they're nice and they're their trap with hard hi-hats and whatnot. And so just syncing that in with something so exciting like MMA just works, So I think it's more than just you gotta just be willing to take it there, but like follow that same formula. You know what I mean? Because like there is a formula, but you don't want to follow it to the T. Just change it a little something here, and it makes a difference, man. Like just the simple things,
Oh, yeah.
So not overthinking it too. Like you want it, but putting enough thought into it to where it's right.
That makes total sense. And you could tell the attention to detail just from your video.
I appreciate it.
Even like the one that you have just kind of documenting Mark for the day.
Okay, yeah.
Right where the music kind of breaks and just kind of gets to the slow, the slower portion of it, where you could see, like the main action of the video right then and there is him just kind of, giving instruction right across. Yeah. It all just flows the way that it should. Oh yeah, absolutely.
No, it was.
So I noticed your ring there, man.
Oh yeah.
So are you a big Doom fan?
Yeah, I mean all that Stones Throw stuff, man. So
okay.
yeah, Madlib. I saw I mean, we go, like, yeah, I'm a hip hop head for sure. Peanut Butter Wolf is, he runs a record label called Stone's Throw.
Okay.
And it would Doom and Madlib and Common, cats like that were all on it back in like the late 90s, early 2000s, like golden era hip hop. So yeah, I follow all those guys, man. Like I like weird beats with, you know, off pattern rhymes, and yeah.
Just that's hip hop though.
Yeah, no.
I mean, it's true organic to the sound with it. I mean, it's not a cookie cutter format by any means.
No, it's like I call it like avant-garde hip hop. I listen to a lot of jazz, so you know, you listen to Charlie Parker, and you know, most people hear Charlie Parker. When I first heard Charlie Parker, I was like, "What the hell is going on here?" And then after, you know, learning, you know, the intricacies of that, which, you know, I'm not a jazz musician. I've taken jazz classes. You know, I make hip hop beats, you know, whatever. But like now, it's like I know what makes it so great, you know. And Doom's kind of the same way. You show somebody who's, you know, they listen to mainstream hip hop, they're like, what is this? Like, it's hard, you know. It's not something that's easy to listen to,
right.
And that's why I like it.
I'm a Wu-Tang kid, man. So
yeah.
that is all right up my alley. You know, I don't listen to as much music, just period, in general, as I used to, just because I'm so busy with everything else. But still, you can't go wrong with the classics. You can't go wrong with just real, true lyricism.
And there's nothing wrong with the music today, especially like the hip hop, you know. For me, because it's like, you know, we always want to go back and remember how things were and stuff. And, you know, that time was great. And that's, you know, I'm still listening to it. I mean, I put on 2001, you know, The Chronic just the other day. And I was like, oh, man, I miss, like, bumping this in my car, you know, being in high school and stuff. But, you know, music changes and things evolve. And so, yeah, I don't, you know, there's a lot of the new stuff out now, you know, all the mumble rappers and stuff like that, where I don't, but I can still, you know, I still understand it. It still serves its purpose, you know. But yeah, I mean, if we're talking like real hip hop, because, you know, that stuff is arguably not even really hip hop, you know. It's its own, you know, genre, and it's fine. It's cool, you know. People can listen to what they want. But yeah, that's what, you know, what I reference, and, you know, and it's hard to find, you know. It's not everybody knows.
And that's exactly, you know, that's what I say too. You kind of touched on it right then and there. I have no problem with anybody making whatever art or music, whatever it is out there, but you just can't call some of that hip hop.
No, yeah, and I think a lot of it too is they're not, you know, I think people get upset because they don't like respect the culture, and, you know, like you look at all this stuff with like Eminem, and, you know, these kids don't understand that, like, M is the best. Like, he's the best. You know, he had to battle people. He had to, like, be a true MC. He had to read a thesaurus. You know, you don't have to do that anymore. You have to just have the look and the, you know, the backing, whatever, the social media following, whatever it is.
Tattoo your face a couple times, dye your hair pink.
Yeah, you know, and to touch on that too, I mean, guys like Lil Peep and like XXX Tentacion, like that. Both deceased, obviously, were, especially X, was doing some great things. Because, I mean, I grew up, I was a punk and metal kid. I mean, and then, you know, kind of indie alternative rock I found later. But, I mean, my brother bought me a Black Flag CD, slip it in when I was like 8 years old, you know. And those guys weren't making hip-hop either. They were, you know, X was making like death metal tracks. And that was cool to me for, you know, somebody who's a hip-hop figure to be mixing genres like that. You know, Peep was doing like emo trap. Like, it was different, you know, and that I can appreciate. My thing is, I don't like everybody trying to be the same, you know, and you can look however you want as long as the music is good, you know. Like, even 6ix9ine, is he my favorite? No, but, you know, his stuff, you know, there's some hard beats, you know. He's yelling, like, I can like work out to it. You know, it has its purpose. But, you know,
I almost refuse to listen to that dude out of principle, but it's
I
hard
feel
not to. I
feel you.
Gym heavy rotation is bozo all the time, so, you know.
I know, I get you too. It's not like he's like, you know, my go-to or anything, and I still think the guy's ridiculous. I don't think he's all funny like everybody does.
No, it's just more so knowing what his background is and knowing what he's done, and that's why I refute that. I just think he's kind of, you know, character-wise, he's a piece of shit that way for his sex crimes.
And I mean, you're a product of the environment you grow up to. Like
It's layered. I get it.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing there. But going back to my point is, a lot of older heads, and I consider myself a hip hop head for sure. I mean, I make hip hop music. I've been a student of it forever. I mean, as soon as I was in my sophomore year, I only listened to Tupac. Like that was it. I mean, that's all. He had so much music. I could. But they're never gonna understand, and it's just so different now that how great Eminem is. It doesn't matter to him, and him. He's just feeding into it more and stuff. And the stuff with him and Machine Gun Kelly. I mean, that's all. That's on that's for promotional reasons. They know what they're doing. Hip hop beefs aren't what they used to be. Like with Biggie and Tupac. I mean, two guys, died for that. 50 Cent in the game. I mean, it was getting pretty close to that point with them. More so now. It's more. Hey, it's more premeditated and planned. And I don't think Machine Gun Kelly and Eminem really have beef. But it's one of those. I mean, I at least rumored that beats from their dish songs were produced by the same guy. So I mean,
if that's the truth, then there's something behind what you say.
Yeah, and I mean, I could be wrong, but that's just I know. I'm trying to think of one that was pretty recent. I think it was Drake and or who Pusha T was beefing with everybody. I know a lot of that was premeditated. They were, no, we didn't have problems with each other, but this is how, people like drama,
right.
Which is fine, you can, to more power to you, if you can find a way to.
It's just sometimes you got to be careful what you say because you might, and then maybe it could have been a thing of with the Eminem and MGK thing that, because I don't know, this is just me.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing that you could have told me that, okay, we have some sort of friendly agreement and you're going to go that far in on either side.
Yeah, you'd
really.
be surprised though, man, because it's for the bottom dollar.
Yeah.
I mean, Eminem.
I get it. Bottom dollar definitely speaks, but I think of it also. I think that UFC 229 was the perfect epitome of that. Khabib got paid a bigger payday than he's ever gotten in his entire life. Would have had the red carpet rolled out for many opportunities, but Eminem himself said it on Like Toy Soldiers. Said there's certain lines you just don't cross, and he crossed.
Oh yeah, no, Habib's a real gangster, man.
And so
we figured that out real quick.
I don't know. There's just even in lieu of promotion, there's certain lines that you just don't cross, and I don't know. It seemed like there were some of those lines being traded
and
back and forth.
I hear you that
or at least in Eminem's comeback with Kill Shot.
Yeah.
That one was rough.
Yeah. No, and I think also too, MGK and Eminem, they know the game. Habib doesn't play the game. You know what I mean?
Right.
When Conor was saying this stuff, he thought he was promoting a fight. It wasn't a joke to Habib. He wasn't. You know what I mean? It wasn't like that.
I think of it, or I just say this, and I posted this, on the comments from the Peanut Gallery page. When it comes to, especially, there's different cultures around the world that interpret different things very, very seriously.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Religious being one of them. So if you take a look widespread across Earth, across this planet that we live on, the major conflict that exists out there, I would say that a large majority of the global scale conflict has a religious base to it in some fashion.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So you want to start attacking this man's religion, and nonetheless a religion in which they are willing to die on any given day for their God or for their religious cause.
Yeah.
They are willing to strap bombs to their chests or do other things of that nature, other attacks.
I mean, not all,
Not all,
Yeah.
but just saying that has been some factions of this religious portion. If you attack this guy, you think that they're going to go any less or different because you're Conor McGregor?
Yeah, no, and you're offending his country. It's just a different, it's just a different world out there, man. And I mean, that's, I think anybody, obviously anybody can use religion or religious text and take it in an extreme way. I mean, we domestic terrorists.
Right.
Anybody.
Absolutely.
Anybody. But yeah, at the end of the day, like this guy, he lives by that code, and he's not. Yeah, I think Connor should have known better. I mean, is my bottom line there is that it wasn't a fight promotion thing for him. When you called his dad a coward, like like that wasn't for the fight. Like
You start calling out his brother too as well. Saying
Yeah.
I've seen this man's brother knocked dead unconscious.
Yeah.
You just can't say some of the stuff that he
And I
did
will
without
say
being-
it was probably a good learning experience for Connor, because I don't think that I don't think any of us knew the scope of what had been said, the effect it had on Khabib, and if we're blaming people, I think Dana White's probably ultimately at caught or to blame. Yeah, 'cause-
Dana is the biggest person to blame in all of it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, he promoted the fight with the Class A felony assault,
Right.
and lets Connor do whatever he wants. Because I mean, everybody can say what they want about Khabib's post-fight antics, but no one wants to talk about Connor's pre-fight antics. I mean, this guy rounded up a group of guys, jumped on a private jet, flew from Ireland to New York to go confront Khabib for saying something to Artem. And where was Artem during this whole thing too? That's my question. I didn't see Artem once.
No.
And this whole beef pretty much started because of him. Khabib mobstered him, and Connor didn't like it.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, personally, I'm not a big fan of either of them. Going into the fight, I was cheering for Connor because I like his fighting style better. Khabib had that video that came out of him paying homeless dudes to do push-ups and laughing at him with his friends, and that's not cool, But I think Connor kind of got what he had coming,
Yeah.
And Khabib's team was out of line. I mean, I can't remember who it was that jumped the cage, and I remember watching it, and I saw it, and I was like, that, because his Ali came over, and they both tried to swing at each other. It looked like Connor popped him, and the guy in the red shirt came over, and I was like, this is bad, man.
And what a lot of people didn't see is Connor threw a punch before anybody attacked him.
up on the fence.
Right.
Yeah.
And, to me, and this is just me from the outside looking in and seeing it, that was classic hold me back routine that Connor was doing. Because I think that Connor could have gotten up over the fence, and if he really wanted to get down into that scrum where his boy Dylan Dennis was with him, I can't stand Dylan Dennis. Dylan Dennis to me
I think that's kind of the consensus of the MMA world. And, I mean, this guy's still... Khabib will smash him. Dos Anjos will smash him. I don't... She's a jiu-jitsu prodigy, whatever, but, these guys will,
Right.
Because I don't know if you saw his exchange with Dos Anjos, but it's I don't know if you want any of that smoke, man.
No, you're talking a world champion.
Yeah.
Or a former world champion.
Yeah.
That's... not going to happen that way. I just love how in the end Khabib in the press conference, him and his whole team, they're tap factory. You put them in a bad position and they're a tap factory.
Yeah.
I was cracking up when he said that. But,
yeah. I mean, there's some people that just operate on a different. Why you don't start stuff with people, because you don't know what they're capable of, man, where they're coming from. If they're willing to die for this,
Exactly.
And I think we've, found out, who really was. And, I mean, let's not forget, Conor McGregor is one of the best fighters to ever come on the scene, I'm not going to, but he did tap to a neck crank. I mean, I think that's something that's a little bit lost in this whole thing, too, is, it hurts, but, you can't really tap as a top level fighter like that. It does not look good to tap to neck crank, and we saw how quick he tapped to Nate Diaz too.
Right.
It's kind of becoming a trend that he's kind of quick to tap, and I don't think that's
No, I agree with you there. I will say this though, from having
I would tap to the
personally
neck crank.
been
Don't get me
put in
wrong.
that fulcrum choke.
Yeah,
That is painful.
and it's Khabib too.
Right.
But he was he probably could have fought it a little bit longer. I think
Right. He didn't have it under the chin.
Yeah,
But
and
It's still painful.
Oh no, I don't get me wrong. I'm not, and like I said, I mean, and I know Conor. I mean, you saw his fight with Nate Diaz, the second fight. I mean, that was a complete war. I mean, it's not like Conor McGregor's, soft or anything like that. But I think, his lack of ground game definitely, he probably panics a little bit when he gets in those positions because, I mean, obviously he's not used to ever being in those positions. Right. He's so dominant, too. I mean, the beginning of that fight, I thought he was about to out-wrestle Khabib. I was like, when he was stuffing him and, like, getting better of, like, their grappling exchanges, and that ended real quick. But I was like, what is going on here? Like, this guy really is, But...
Are you familiar with Dean Lister at all? Do you know who Dean Lister is?
I don't think so. No.
He's a former world champion jiu-jitsu guy, but I mean he's got a YouTube series where he's done like coaching videos and all that sort of stuff. He works a lot alongside with Jocko Willink. Okay. I don't know if you're familiar with Jocko either, but Jocko's a huge inspirational figure that's out there. But he has a video out there that where he talks about that fulcrum choke itself, and they call the movement a choke, but it's really you're correct in saying it's a neck crank in that way. But when he had him right there, and basically he gets him in that gable grip there, and then puts the elbow to that middle portion of the back and just squeezes that way. I mean, you don't even have to have if you look at some of the old just jiu-jitsu competition videos of guys like Marcelo Garcia or dudes like that, where they've gotten taps in jiu-jitsu comps from there, but it's just because that pressure that you're able to apply once you can get this elbow back in here and squeezing tighter, it just almost feels like your head's going to explode, to pop off. So I don't doubt that that it was a very, very vulnerable and trying position that Conor was in.
But it wasn't going to put him out. You know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah, and it's hard to say because that's what Tito Ortiz hit with Chael Sonnen. That's the exact finish that he had. So I don't know.
And that finish, I mean, I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist or anything though.
Yeah,
but
I thought that Tito might have been tapped early on in that fight.
And there's been a few things in Bellator where you've had to look at it and be like, I don't know about that.
Very Pride-esque.
Yeah. So, but no, I get what you're saying, and that's not to take. I think it's more if that was. I think it's more so it coming along with the Nate Diaz rear naked choke, because he was he was done, he was tapping before, right when he sunk it in. I mean, he was so. And
I think his attempted takedown was basically him throwing in the white flag.
Yeah, I mean,
because Nate even said it after. He's like trying to take me down like I'm not the black belt here.
Yeah, I mean once. Yeah, I think our consent was okay. Like Conor's a wrestler now, and Conor, took that fight. He's very, he's humble in victory and in defeat. I mean, across the board. They're just, I know he does it to promote the fight. He's going with the Ali type, whatever. But I do think that he needs to display, or doesn't need to. He can do what he wants. He's Conor McGregor. But a little humility before would be, great, win or lose, because, even, he gives it up to Nate every time, and, as he should. Nate's got respect for him, too. His fighting style is awesome, so entertaining. But, yeah, I mean, I think it was a learning experience for him that, and I don't think, when Khabib was texting him his location and stuff, I don't think, I wouldn't want to go to that, if this guy's going to maul me, I don't want it to be on the street, so...
And that's where I just, I do find trouble with some of it, like the way that Conor approaches it, because it's like, man, if you're really going to attack this many things, or you're telling me that you're literally going to kill me.
Yeah, well, he said if you got off that bus, so I'd have been in a cell and you would have been in a box.
You've taken this past just sport level promotion.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I've always kind of had this kind of thought process too. You go knocking on the devil's door for long enough, sooner or later, somebody's gonna come answer.
Yeah, and there's always somebody who's bigger and badder, and
Yep.
So, I mean, it was definitely. I mean, for me as a fight fan though, anybody can say what they want. When Khabib hopped that cage, I mean, I was with Raw Dog. There was a group of us watching it. We were going crazy, man. I mean, we rewinded that part without even rewinding the fight. Great fight. I mean, Khabib dropped him on his feet.
First time Conor's ever been dropped.
By Khabib. Who would have ever thought that? and as soon as that happened, I was like, this is not going to be good for Conor. The fight definitely. I mean, Khabib was winning. When he locks your legs like that, it's just what I mean?
You're immobilized. You can't do anything.
It'd just be so. I couldn't imagine how frustrating it is. And just I don't blame guys for breaking because like. It's you wrestle. I wrestled. You know what it's like when you're going against some guy who's just better, and it's you can't do anything. I mean, it's like you got to get it to
so
get
demoralized.
Yeah, and you got to be able to like get through that mental to get through it. And you're probably gonna lose. But there's definitely times wrestling where I was like, God, I kind of just want to let this guy pin me because it's like at this point I'll probably just get tech falled. But. Yeah, so I can see why Khabib breaks people.
And there was some people. Well, Conor needs to start running, or this. I don't. Conor could be the most conditioned athlete. He could be.
Which is conditioning?
Cameron Haynes, David Goggins, whoever of your endurance athletes out there.
Yeah.
He could be one of the best in that sense. But that conditioning and the conditioning of grappling, of scrambling, of just wrestling itself, or to be prepared for what he would have had to have gone through going against a guy like Khabib.
Yeah.
You cannot prepare yourself to condition for that.
No.
The only way that you can halfway prepare that conditioning is by mat time.
Yeah.
Is by going through that many, not even minutes of rounds, going through full-on just days that turn into hours worth of rounds.
And Khabib has
only way.
Done that for every year he's been on this earth.
Since he was, before 7 years old, wrestling a bear.
Yeah, that's what and I mean, Conor's condition, his cardio has never been great. I mean, that's something that's, obviously, but yeah, I mean, it wouldn't have mattered. Khabib was going to finish that fight, and I think the consensus too was that if it wasn't, if it didn't end in the first, maybe second round, Khabib was going to win the fight. And I mean, that's kind of, it was honestly just like even more, I thought that Conor would catch him at some point, and there would at least be some, because Michael Johnson caught him, and there was a little, adversity that, he came back from, but, his style of fighting holds his chin up, hands kind of low and that type of thing, but for him to catch Conor was just...
In the end, terrible fight for Conor to come back to.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of guys have kind of disproved the theory of ring rust. Guys like Tyron Woodley to Dominic Tony Ferguson.
I mean, what a performance by that guy.
Right. So, there's been a lot more guys that have kind of disproved that thought of ring rust. But, hey, for some people it might be a little bit different. You're, especially Conor, who's someone who works so much off of creating angles, being fluid with his movement. Yeah. If you haven't been in there for 2 years, hey, it might be a little bit tougher then.
Yeah, and your last fight was a boxing match, which is, a whole different world. You train for, your last training camp is for a boxing match.
I don't know that if I were him, I don't know that if I'd have made my first fight back,
I probably would have tried to do the Diaz trilogy, which it sounds like is probably going to be next for Conor.
Oh, I think he has to cash in on that before he loses too many times, honestly. Because this is my personal take. I think that on any given night, I think that Tony could beat anybody. I think that if there's anybody who can, it's Tony.
I mean, he definitely...
It's hard to argue that anybody's going to beat Khabib.
But he would give, at least on paper, would definitely be just because of his wrestling pedigree.
Right.
And, I mean, his boxing just and it's very unconventional too. I mean, it's not watching it with Brandon, this guy, one of the top level strikers out there. And I mean, he was just like hating on Ferguson's just his like style kind of, he's a big Pettis guy though too, makes sense.
Yeah.
But I was like, dude, like it's weird, it's unconventional, but look how effective it is. I mean, it's like 4, 5, 6 punch combinations, and just the way he was slipping punches with it too was just so fluid and it
stops.
No, talk about a gas tank. I think El Kakui and Nate Diaz would be a really fun fight.
I agree.
I think it would be a kind of a bad matchup for Nate, but I think it would be, a really exciting fight. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I know Nate would answer that third round call too. No disrespect to Pettis, because I mean that was one of the grittiest performances I've seen by him. And you never want to take more damage or anything like that. I would have loved to see a third round. I mean, they were
See, and I think that it was more so. I think it was Duke Rufus's call. I don't know
And
that it was Pettis's
he asked
directly, but
listening to the corner, it's like he asked him, and he wasn't like saying no, I'm good. He wasn't saying like I'm not good, but he wasn't saying and it's one of those things where if he wasn't good, he doesn't want you don't want to stop like that. But yeah, I mean it was regardless, it was one of the two of the best rounds that I've witnessed.
Phenomenal.
I mean, yeah. So I mean, no disrespect to Pettis, but
the still shots are iconic from that fight.
I would imagine Pettis with his tongue out, and that's what I mean. Like I've never, you never seen when you found out he was the one who was cut.
Right.
Because at first it looked like El Kakui was the one who was cut, and I mean the Pettis brothers. They've been known not to. They don't really like to mess up their faces. So I mean, he definitely showed some grit, bit down on that mouthpiece, and yeah. So.
It was kind of cool. There was there was a shot of John Anik's shirt.
Yeah, he had the blood on the back.
He had the blood splatter right along his shoulder. So everybody within range of the cage right then and there was getting hit from that fight.
It was a good card. I mean, all in all,
Karate Hottie. I mean, yeah. I'm a big Michelle Watterson fan for more reasons than one, obviously. But she is extremely talented, and just her kicks were crisp.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I mean It sounds like she's getting Valentina next.
That'd be an interesting matchup to see. It'd be very very interesting. Is she going up to 25 then, or was this last weekend at 25? I thought because she's normally been a 15er.
I think that it might have been at 25. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head,
but yeah,
I can't believe that's and it's not to slight Eubanks or Valentina. I can't believe that's what they made for the main event at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
And it's not so much if they would have made that from the beginning, okay, cool. But the way that you teased us that there was going to be this even bigger main event ahead of Diaz-Poirier, my whole thing is, and it's something that I'm sure the UFC will never directly confirm, I called it months back once I started seeing pictures of John Jones at the gym before they even had his suspension being lifted.
They're going to get him on that card.
UFC was trying to go all in and planning on John Jones being ready for that card.
Well, his suspension was a weird number, and the 15 months, it ended a week before the fight. I mean, that's what it definitely. And then when Dana's saying, "Oh no, that's not going to happen," it's usually okay. That's what's going to happen. When Dana says no, it's usually yes.
But then, according to Chael Sonnen, John Jones legitimately did get the call and then said that he was not ready. Said that he would not have been in, he wasn't close enough to being able to make weight, to do all of that. And it would have been the matchup with Gus. But, so say John Jones isn't ready. Especially because, reasonably speaking in his head, why would he be ready if nobody's ever had a 15-month suspension before?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was...
But who else turned down the call? Because I guarantee you that wasn't the second matchup that they tried to go to.
Yeah. No, I'm not. Well, I mean, if Gustafson's still on it, man, I mean, Lionheart,
I mean, he would have made that fight.
And I mean, obviously he's got a fight coming up, but he comes out, another quick finish. I mean, I want to see that fight with Gustafsson.
I would love to see that fight.
So, I mean, maybe, gets on the mic again after an impressive win if he goes out there and, does his thing, and, maybe they can make that happen. Hopefully Gustafsson's
a big name, I mean,
he's a very big name. I mean,
Volkan, the only time where he really got starched was DC, and he looked bad against DC.
But leading up to that, he was knocking people up in like 20, 30 seconds, man. No, I like the matchup for Anthony. I like, when I saw that fight announced, I was excited. And it's somebody who, is, a very, very formidable opponent that has the pedigree that can take him to that next level as well, and get him into those, contender championship talks. Because, I mean, finishing Rashad and Shogun, you can say whatever you want to, anything, them being that season should be a disadvantage, And it'd be one thing if he beat him by decision. He completely destroyed them. You know, it was not even,
No
and you
question.
could tell as soon as the cage door closed who the better fighter was, and I think that speaks volumes more than him beating them. The way he beat them. It was like they were the up and comers.
Right.
And he was the guy who's won the belts. So.
And Anthony is young overall.
Oh.
Still, I mean, he's barely 30 years old.
And that's
But
prime
his
time.
seasoning in the game is not young.
Yeah.
I mean, he's 40 professional fights deep within his career now. At
No,
this point.
he's it's a spot you want, because
Mm-hmm.
I mean, most 29, 30, 31 is when fighters are peaking and they're getting their championship opportunities and stuff. And then, like you said, along with his experience, I mean, yeah, he's in a good spot right now, and just needs to, And I mean, the dude's an animal. I mean, I'm sure you've seen him at Factory X before. I mean, he trains hard,
And incredibly nice dude too.
Oh yeah, I mean that's what's most when you're around enough, that's like kind of the consensus. There's a few that here and there that are kind of tough guys, but most of them. I mean, like I think about Brandon. I mean, I can't think of one occasion when he ever told somebody, "Oh, I'm a professional mixed martial artist." And I think that speaks volumes. That's the ninja way. You don't tell. You don't need to brag about it. Just go out there and do your job and
Staying humble with it.
exactly. And goes a long way. But I mean, I think that's from the top down at Factory X. I mean, and even iron sharpens iron. They're all in it together. And it's not. Because, I mean, MMA is a team sport, as much as, if you don't have the right corner when you're out there, it's going to make a difference, If you don't have the right training partners before you're out there, it's going to make a difference, So, it's, definitely good. And, yeah, I'm looking forward to that mini hunt video. I mean, that's...
Yeah.
And I've been real lucky to be able to work with Brandon and Youssef and now Mini Hunt, because, I mean, their fights are just exciting,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Mini Hunt's fights are a highlight in themselves, Like, it's going to be one of those things where it's going to be hard to narrow down footage,
Exactly.
So, yeah, being able to work with guys like that is just definitely something I want to continue to do, and just, it's one of those things where, I'm passionate about it too. I'm a fight fan. I mean, that's what I told Mini Hunt when I was like, we should cut a highlight video. It's like, I'm, UFC, Pride Legends, Dudes in Risen, anybody you want, like, you're one of my favorite fighters. Like, you're exciting, like, you're a brawler, like, that's what I grew up, watching. I'm a Diaz Brothers fan,
Yep.
for forever.
Big time.
When I saw Nick Diaz, I'm sorry, hit Gomi with that go-go, my brother, I was just getting into like mixed martial arts too, like 5th, 6th, 7th grade. And I was like, what is that? Like, what is this guy doing? And then like going and watching like the, Ninja Warrior videos on him with Lazy the Savage, who going, with my videography stuff, he's an influencer for me, is Lazy the Savage, who's cut a lot of videos for the Diaz brothers, and just like his style of video and,
Right.
Adding, audio over video, like interview audio, like that, I think it's Ain't No Bitch, that video, like it's just interviews of him, and it's like there's no music, there's just like a weird like underlining track, and it's just interviews, some fight footage, and just like Nick Diaz just, being Nick Diaz, and like is tight though, like it's not your conventional style of, and I think that's something I learned a lot about Nick Diaz through his Lazy the Savage videos, because this was before he had been in the UFC before, but before, he was, fighting GSP and, getting the camera time in the UFC. This is what he fought, was fighting Jeremy Jackson and, Carl Parisian and getting robbed, and Diego Sanchez and getting robbed, and Joe Riggs and getting robbed.
That was a war though, him and Diego, because that was a young that one. I'm as big of a Nate Diaz fan as you can be. I love the Diaz brothers.
Yeah.
That's one of the very few that I can say that, man, that one I could have gone either way.
Yeah, and I mean, it's,
because Diego had such a pace through that entire fight.
And
I'm a huge Diego fan, though, too.
Oh, yeah.
But
no, I mean,
I'm with
he's
you
a
100%, though, man.
And it's the
Anybody
way
who
that
knows me knows that I'm a big Diaz Brothers
Hey,
fan.
man. Well, I'm glad to be on your show there, man. Because that's always been, me and Brandon always Diaz brothers, man. Like, I mean, I remember that fight against Paul Daly in Strikeforce, man. Like, dude, the grit. Like I thought he was gonna get knocked out, and I mean it's Jeremy Jackson finished him. I believe is the only guy to
The only
stop.
time.
Yeah, man, that guy could have been so good.
Yeah, and that was a young Nick too.
Oh yeah,
when that fight happened. But
No, yeah, he was, and Jeremy Jackson, like he was gonna be world champ if he, obviously that guy's done horrible things. He's in prison now, and before then, he was just a wild, he's on the Ultimate Fighter and he got kicked out for, he had to go meet up with some girl or something. But I mean, Jeremy Jackson, like that guy was, he could have been a world champ, especially at that time. I mean, he was one of the more advanced fighters in the sport. So to lose to a guy like that at that point was like, and Nick was more of a jiu-jitsu guy. I think is the Lawler fight that really showcased and I mean, obviously, I mean that might have been his first time working with Richard Perez or leading up to that fight. I'm not exactly sure.
I can't remember where they came along, but that's so huge for those guys that they work with Richard Perez.
Oh yeah, and I mean, his boxing style just translates so well to MMA. I mean, it's just, yeah. And so when he knocked out Lawler,
when you routinely spar with Andre Ward, that's a big hit.
Yeah, well, and I mean the Diaz brothers are supposed to. I mean, I'm still waiting for that Silva Diaz boxing match. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would definitely pay for that.
See, and I think Nick got robbed against Anderson. I think that was a robbery to me.
It definitely wasn't.
Didn't do anything.
It definitely wasn't 5 rounds to nothing. I mean, and the Diaz brothers, because it was 50-45, if I'm remembering right. I think every round went to Anderson, and I mean that's just it just kind of comes with the Diaz. They don't win decisions. I mean, I could say the same thing about Brandon. I mean, going back, like when he won this last decision, I mean, he clearly won the fight, but I thought he beat Palacios, what's the other kid who he fought in Pueblo? Urso, Nick Urso.
I don't know the name.
Nick Urso. I mean, that had a lot of top control and stuff, but Brandon was the busier fighter. He was doing more damage, trying to finish more so, and I could say based off aggression and trying to advance position, and I mean he's on his back, but he's moving off his back the whole time. And just that fighting style, it's hard to win decisions because it's a fighting style for finishes. You know what I mean? So when you don't get the finish, a lot of the
You're
times
dealing with judges half the time who don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
they're getting better though. At least now, because going back to when Nick was losing all those decisions, the judging was definitely towards wrestling. Takedowns were all that really mattered. You know what I mean? Like they didn't even care. This guy could have landed 30 significant strikes in this round, but he got the takedown. Like it was very wrestling oriented, and now you can see that's changed, and you can tell with I can tell by judges' calls which ones are more wrestlers or whatever. I can always tell which guys favor jiu-jitsu because I favor jiu-jitsu. I'm like, this guy's on his back, but he's going for arm bars, he's going for triangles, he's getting into scrambles, he's getting up, he's whatever. I give it to him. Other people always been on his back, which I think too is a lot of casual fans just think they think they're losing, and so
that is the struggle half the time when I go to watch parties or some of that sort of stuff. Just
and
I just have to keep my mouth shut half the time.
Yeah.
It's like, you guys have no idea what you're talking about over here. And that could be some of the judges, though, that I feel like some of the times, like Adelaide Burke, I'm sorry, she has no business judging.
Yeah, I mean...
In any combat sport now at this point.
And she's definitely been the driving force of why fighters that have won didn't get the win. I mean, yeah.
When you're talking 50% of your purse and you're talking a lot more opportunities based off of what the outcome of that fight is, I'm sorry, man. Like my thought is I'm in agreement with guys like Joe Rogan that you need to have more judges.
Yeah, even to put them up in like don't have them cage side, up in a room with the video monitor. You know what I mean? Like because
no influence from commentary.
It's really hard.
I
mean,
anything.
like this is the last time I go back to Brandon, but like when I'm watching him fight, if he lands something and it may not be that significant, I'm gonna cheer, I'm gonna clap, I'm gonna make it seem significant. You know what I mean? Because it makes a difference, man. Like crowd noise can affect the judge's opinion on.
It can affect the entire momentum of everything going on, for that matter.
Yeah.
But, like I said, I think that if you were to add more judges to the panel, more qualified judges to the panel, you're going to eliminate the outliers, the slapdick outliers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you put,
No,
in
definitely.
any grouping of people that way, if you put 10 people together in general, it's probably safe to say that one of them might be a little bit of a knucklehead.
Yeah.
Well, so but that one is a lot less. If you but if you had that one, it was in 3.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, one judge, can make, majority decision be a majority draw, which makes a difference, but no, I mean, it's, and to be fair, MMA, mixed martial arts, is a relatively new sport. I mean, it's very, very young, so I think in general, you get a lot of, casual, and Conor McGregor brings them out of the woodworks, I mean, there was a lot of McGregor that I saw, posted on social media, that just simply, weren't qualified to be making these types of statements, but it just kind of comes with the territory. I mean, when Floyd and McGregor fought, I mean, that was the worst, because then you got all the casual boxing fans and all the casual mixed martial arts fans all together and just speaking nonsense, but it's the fight game,
And it's cool, I respect. We need the casuals as hardcore fans, because at most, I mean, we're as hardcore fans of the game. At most 15% of the market.
Yeah, absolutely.
We need the other 85.
The UFC
100% need the other 85 to stay afloat and survive.
Yeah, and they wouldn't be, it wouldn't if there weren't guys like McGregor and Chuck Liddell. I mean, think about how many people got into the sport because of Chuck Liddell. I mean, talk about I mean, can't wait for that Tito fight.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be ugly.
I'm gonna stream it.
I think it's gonna be really, really bad.
Probably.
I don't know if you've seen any of Chuck's training videos or not.
I don't know if I want to, man. I can imagine it looks like Holloway when he was concussed,
Worse.
Yeah.
Dude, it's just so robotic, and it's just like, Chuck, I really, really hope that this was like the first round of warm-ups.
Yeah.
Because...
Well, Tito's probably the favorite coming into this fight, don't you think?
I would have to imagine, just because, that 5-year gap is much more significant now. Now that Chuck's 48, Tito's 43.
Yeah, and just the way
Tito has stayed training.
And how Tito didn't get knocked out 4 times in a row or whatever, like Chuck did to end his career. Like, Tito just simply didn't take the damage that Chuck took. When Chuck would go out on his shield. You saw Tito, when Chuck was teeing off on him in the first 2 fights, he covered his face, went to the ground, fight was over, And so, yeah, I mean, he's the fresher, Sounds like that neck's good. I mean...
And Chuck, Chuck was always known as a partier, man. Chuck was always known as one who wasn't a stranger to, a little bit of candy.
Yeah.
So how much of that through the years has then just basically expedited his aging or his process that Father Time has taken against him? Because, like I say, man, watching him hit mitts in those videos and watching him just throw, I say this from the standpoint of, if I can read his shoulder out every 20 minutes.
But I mean, all his shots were big and, telegraphed and, just guys back then, I mean, to put it simply, didn't know how to throw their hands. Like, it just wasn't really, I mean, like, I go back to, like, the first season of Ultimate Fighter. Fights were really, really, really boring, I mean, and if it weren't for the Bonner Griffin fight, for, 2 guys, and it's not like, you go back and watch it, it's not like there's these great technical fighters or anything like that. It was a different time in the sport, but, luckily that wasn't, hug each other against the fence type of fight, which a lot of fights were at the, and then I credit like Anderson Silva and guys like that is when really, Anderson Silva probably a lot of it because
he's a big part because he was exciting to watch.
And just, it was more, it was elegant. It was footwork. It was, it wasn't just grab and hold and, it wasn't point fighting. Like, this guy was picking his shots and
and he wasn't a ground and pounder either.
No.
So,
yeah.
you know, I mean, because the sport had its big stars prior to the Anderson pop. You know,
Yeah.
you had your, you know, Chuck was probably the biggest
Yeah.
name up to that point that had a style that could gravitate the people that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Outside of, you know, the guy
Matt
who I think
Hughes
really, you know, because yeah, you had your guys like your Matt Hughes, your
Yeah.
Coutures of the world, those guys who were phenomenal.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but the wrestling style, I'm a huge fan of it, but it's not something that
Yeah.
appeals to the masses
And
on that way.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not, you know, it's a fight, you know. You're going to, you know, do what you got, you know. I mean, you can't, it's part of it, you know. If you don't want to get laid on for 15 minutes, work on your takedown defense, you know. It's you know,
It's still looking back, the biggest cry and shame, or the guy who missed the boat on all of it that you know, or at least was marketed or had the hype to have been one of the elites of the elite was Vitor.
yeah.
Because there were some times, man, where Vitor, you just saw just absolute highlight reel things.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
But then, as certain, you know, when he would get to big moments, he was on the other end of the highlight more times than not.
absolutely, yeah.
You know, like you see, like when Vitor and Vanderlei fought, like that just sprint that he had was
Yeah.
absolutely insane.
Yeah, no, I mean, and that was, you know, guys weren't doing that at that time in the sport. You know what I mean? They were like just his hands were so fast. You know what I mean? Like these guys they weren't
bull
doing
rush.
that. Yeah.
Literally looked like a bull
Yeah,
too coming
and-
at you because his fucking traps, because he was so
Yeah.
roided out of his mind,
Well, and
started
that-
above his ears and went down to
And
his
that
shoulders.
goes back to Vitor. Is I mean, you know, he was, you know, but that was the time. You know, it was a different ballgame. You know.
A lot of those heavyweights back then, man. Like,
Yeah.
you know, that's just like saying people try to make the argument sometimes of the steroid era with guys in baseball. Dude, that's the sport.
Yeah, I
Because
mean,
it's going to come out, you know, probably 15, 20 years from now that, oh, everybody, or so many big names in the NFL are roided up.
yeah. I mean, it goes back to
That's the climate of the game.
I
That's
mean,
the temperature of the room for everybody
yeah.
and what they're doing then and there.
I mean, people who like winning is everything, and they're, you know, I mean, throughout history, athletes have always been trying to gain an advantage, and you, as an athlete, at some point in your life, you're probably going to have to make a choice in that regard, you know, especially in, you know, maybe not so now, you know, sports are getting cleaned up a little bit more and whatnot, but, you know, back to, you know, the 90s and, you know, Major League Baseball and stuff. I mean, guys had to make a choice, you know. Do you want to be good or do you want to be great? To be great and to be like these guys, you have to do what these guys are doing, and that is to cheat. Guys who really, really, really want to win are going to do it. And
Right.
champions really, really, really want to win, you know, and guys are willing to do it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of hard to blame them because it's a cultural problem, you know what I mean? Like in sport, you know, performance enhancing drugs have always, you know, and go back to Athens, Greece, and, you know, sure, it was maybe some wine or something.
Right.
Was to, you know, which is, you know, doesn't, you know, now it's like, what kind of perform, but back, you know, they're getting an edge, you know, so it's just something that, you know, and there's constantly new stuff coming, you know, I mean, so.
Well, and the thing is the drugs are always years ahead of the testing.
Exactly.
And so in that sort of thing too, where I feel bad for some guys is, hey, there might be something that you're taking right now
Yeah.
that is perfectly fine. You know, like especially if you look at a lot of the supplements that were around in, say, like the early 2000s around in there, well, there's a lot of people who have had from, you know, not necessarily MMA, but in other sports where they freeze your samples.
Yeah.
Well, now a lot of
Yeah.
that stuff you test hot for.
Yeah. Oh,
But
yeah.
back then it was perfectly legal. So, you know, I mean, where do you draw the line? And that's why I don't try to knock some of the guys of the steroid era within MMA, if you will, because that was something that was so widespread across the board that you can't
Yeah.
just narrow it down and say, oh no, this guy only did that because of that. When almost any weight class there were guys that were popping, so you could say, oh well, he's a heavyweight versus him being a 170. Well, I'm pretty sure Johnny Hendricks popped at 170.
Oh, I mean, you look at him now.
Right, and now
But-
you look at him,
well, I mean,
he's
like,
close to 270.
you know,
but
yeah.
Not literally, but not far off. He's
Yeah.
bare knuckle boxing against, I think he's going against Chris Levin in a couple weeks.
Is it Levin he's going against?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Levin that
That's
he,
sad.
maybe he's not going against Levin, but
Levin's
he's
on the card, too.
He's on the same card. Yeah, it's up in Casper.
I was always a Levin. See, Levin, for those going back to that time in the sport, Lieben was, he wasn't, in comparison now to, these top level athletes. None of these guys were top level athletes then, you know what I mean? They were just like tough dudes who, had some sort of training. But I mean, he, to his credit, he was one of the few guys in that era that like was trying to take heads off, and he wasn't. And then once he was on his back, though, it was over. Because his jiu-jitsu eventually got good. I mean, good enough. I mean, he was towards his end of his UFC tenure. I remember him submitting people with triangles and stuff. So he figured it out, and obviously he had substance abuse problems. Not he wasn't getting in trouble for the performance enhancing drugs, more the recreational.
Exactly.
But yeah, no, I actually really liked Lieben in that because he was trying to take heads off, man.
I back in the day, I've grown to like and appreciate Lieben so much more as I've gotten older. But like back in the day when he was on The Ultimate Fighter, like when that aired, I used to just, that was like the guy who I couldn't stand.
See, I felt like it was way easier to hate Koscheck.
Oh, I hated Koscheck
okay.
too. I hated both of them.
Okay.
I couldn't stand either one of them when they were on the show.
They were like two like high school girls going at it.
Yep.
Like, yeah.
Exactly. And even still now, like, see, Koscheck I respect for what he's done in the cage. He's an elite level wrestler. He's great.
And he started knocking people out towards the end of his tenure too.
But it's just, dude, when you act like such a candy ass for so long in the house, and then when he faked the knee, and when he faked getting hit in that fight. When he was later on The Ultimate Fighter, later on helping out Coach, that blew up into a whole a whole scrum of everybody. But it was like, what are you gonna do? Fake a knee again?
Yeah.
Yeah. But Chris Lieben though, he's a guy who I think was very misunderstood initially.
Yeah. No, he had his issues,
He evolved on me in that way.
Yeah.
I misunderstood what he was too, but that was one dude. No matter what, you knew he was always coming to fight.
Oh yeah, no, I mean he's that friend that like he's always if you need somebody to come back, if things are getting bad and like you're about to take some damage, like Lieben will be there to help you out, no questions asked. So I mean he's definitely, but I mean and going back to just that show, I mean, well now this season is the heavy hitters. So you got the 45 women and then the heavyweight, so it's not, at least, I mean, I'll say that I've been very, very impressed with a couple of the girls' performances,
I haven't watched any of this season yet.
I mean, I haven't been too invested, but there's a couple, I mean, I can't even give you names because, I mean, I'll catch an episode here and there, but there's a couple performances from the girls that, I mean, they were getting it, and going back to, I mean, look at, when women's MMA first came into the UFC to where it is now, I mean, leaps and bounds, and that's, it's still behind the men's side just because it's so much younger, but I mean, how far it's come in such a short, I mean, it's exciting, and
still remember Ronda Liz Carmouche.
That's what I'm saying, yeah, and completely different, more kind of like the earlier, tough days and stuff, the way the fights were, a lot more grappling, you're trying to submit them, you're trying to get on top. Like now these ladies they're throwing, man. They're trying to knock each other out, and they are, they're stopping each other, and I mean, it's definitely, the sport is come so far, and I mean, that's, why
you're starting to get some of those world level specialists that have made that conversion over.
Yeah.
Granted, she missed weight by an absurd amount the last time, but Mackenzie Dern is legit when it comes to jiu-jitsu.
Oh yeah.
You have
She'll
obviously
knock you out too.
Your known names like your cyborgs and your Holly Holmes, who or Valentina Shevchenko.
You think Nunes can beat Cyborg?
No. Personally, I don't.
I mean, there's been like times before where I'm like, I don't know, I think she might be able to do it, and it's like in the back of my head, I'm like, absolutely not.
No, I think that the dominance that we saw like from Khabib the other night is exactly what Cyborg would. I think that if there's any woman on the planet at this
that
point,
has a chance,
because I thought that at one point, if there was one,
it'd be Ronda.
No, I don't think it was gonna be. I thought that it was going to be Holly.
Yeah,
because I thought that Holly was the only one who was big
e-
enough and long enough.
I should have took every bet on that home Rousey fight, man. I knew Holly was going to knock her out, man. knew she was gonna knock her out.
But the thing with Holly though is I give Holly every bit of due and credit because Holly stood and banged for 5 rounds.
Yeah.
Like,
No.
how many people could do that?
Yeah,
and
no.
the UFC, I don't know what they're thinking when they blew it with Megan, because you don't have very many opponents to be able to give Cyborg in the first place.
No.
About the only other one that you could have potentially tried to sell right then and there was Megan.
Yeah.
Megan is 6 feet tall. She walks around at 175 pounds. She is the Australian queen of MMA.
Yeah.
Former military member. All these so on and so forth things that you could have tried to sell, but then you make that fight with Holly, and she stubbed her toe. I think that Megan is really good. I think she's going to come back a lot stronger than what she had in that fight. It was just kind of one of those, welcome to the big league or welcome to the big show kind of fights because Holly is that good.
Yeah. No. I mean,
But you give her that one right away, then you ruin the opportunity to make that Cyborg fight as soon as possible with her, or to build that star power.
And I mean, to be fair, I don't think Dana White's ever been viewed as a promotional genius. There's definitely a lot smaller promotions that I feel have better promoters. But at this point, the UFC doesn't really need to be it promotes itself, and how far he's come. But Dana White, there's definitely been missed opportunities that we've all seen. I'm trying to think of some like super fights that he never made happen that very well could have happened. And I think him too is he protects fighters. He definitely I don't know how much he probably he wanted the Conor and Khabib fight to go on, but I'm not sure if he in the back of his mind wasn't like this is kind of bad, it's going to be a nice payday, but it's definitely taking away, Conor's just dominance, and, he definitely, his loss to Nate put a little chink in his armor, but then he came back. And I'm a little biased too, but I thought Nate won that fight. I thought Conor.
I think he won both.
Yeah, when you're turning your back to a guy, but neither here nor there. That's for a different day. But this was the one that really, Conor, and it's hard to come back from that as a champion. Look at what happened to Ronda. Look at what happened to Tyson. When you lose that, facade of because Ronda was winning fights before she even went in.
Mm-hmm.
And, and that was probably, why she got knocked out by Holly Holm is because, part of it is just Edmund, that team. They're telling her that she can strike with a world-class kickboxer. Because Ronda, she, she thought, she was a striker all of a sudden.
And that within itself was fire them now for making you think.
And then she goes back in there against Nunes, and
worse.
It was way worse. Yeah. No,
they did the same thing to her husband, Travis Brown.
Yeah.
Because
Travis Brown started
was one of the hottest prospects in the heavyweight division for a minute.
Yeah. But with him too is how many fights was he finishing? He's gonna and then it just no heart or no chin or something because he would always lose fights that he was winning. All the time.
Right.
And so is he just still for air? Did he retire or
I don't know what the overall status is. I
haven't heard
he's
anything
a free agent
from
overall.
him. Yeah. I'm surprised Bellator hasn't tried to. I going back to there was PFL. I'm a huge fan. I really, and especially
I think that just kind of I don't mean to cut you off there, but I think the offense on Travis Brown's record probably hurts his potential employment opportunities other places.
I would imagine.
Especially coming off of the losing streak that way. And granted, that's contradictory because Greg Hardy just keeps on getting more opportunities.
Yeah.
But he's winning.
I think that's
the difference is he's winning.
Yeah. No,
And in Travis Brown's recent losses, like the loss to Derek Lewis, did not look good.
No.
And he went to me when Hopper was well. He had his wide stance going more. He wasn't so tall. He wasn't just almost like a stationary target at times.
Yeah. That the Edmund's definitely not. I don't think many fighters are. Well, I think he's in a lot of financial has a lot of financial issues going on right now. But on top of that, I don't think fighters are rushing to go train under him. You know, I mean, he's kind of been known to put his fighters in some compromising positions, and the way he runs his business, and and which is weird why Ronda would want to stay there. You know, I mean, she could have. I mean, I'm not saying that she was going to be the greatest female fighter ever or anything like that, but she definitely could have advanced a lot more and sharpened her skills just going anywhere else.
I don't think she wanted her tie with Manny, or the connection with Manny Gambarian, was probably too tight
and on top of that, she's probably she didn't want to challenge herself. I mean, you could you do the same thing every training camp eventually.
When you start doing when you're doing more Hollywood ops and all of that before you're actually training,
and everybody's pumping your ego, and I mean, think about how many fights Mike Tyson didn't train for. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was winning those fights, but he's like, I'm trying to think of one specifically where he's like, yeah, I didn't train.
Right.
It's like, I didn't train for this fight, like after the post-fight interview. It's like, what?
Mm-hmm.
But
I broke my back.
Yeah, spinal. But it's just like he won fights before he even went in there,
Right.
And so, I mean, watching Ronda go down like that was, just, and I mean, her fight before that was Betch Correa, I think, which is, probably the most unathletic, jump touch I've ever seen in my life, warming up for that fight. So it's like her level of competition before Holly wasn't, pretty basic, like have her against Miesha Tate, who, who finished Holly Holm, which I should have bet on that fight too. I knew she was going to finish. Like, it
was crazy because Holly was winning that whole fight almost decidedly, and then the jiu-jitsu in the end was too much.
Yeah, and Holly Holm, she went out. She didn't tap. She went out swinging.
Yeah, no, I love Holly. Yeah, the preacher's daughter.
Yeah, no,
yeah, you gotta love it. No, especially that video that her and Michelle Watterson put out a couple weeks ago, the dance video.
We were watching that fight, yeah. I was
just like,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like,
no. Yeah.
Holly Holm, you looking for that guy? I'll cash all the chips in right now.
Their team all booty, man. So yeah.
I can't remember what it was for the Felice Herrig and Michelle Watterson fight. I think Brendan Schaub called it the first team all dime piece fight or something like that.
I mean, Felice does have she's got a nice one on her too, man.
Very, very, very nice body.
Yeah. But
a little sidetracked with that.
Yeah.
But it's some red-blooded men over here talking. Got to address all the elephants in the room here. But so we've been going for a little while. Is there anything that we haven't maybe touched or covered at this point that you want to get out there to your fans or to the people out there listening?
I mean, first and foremost, I just appreciate you having me on. Sitting here talking sports, especially combat sports is, I mean, something I can do all day.
Oh,
so.
Me too, man. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Yeah, no, but I mean, just if you guys need work, man, I mean, remember this logo. And we'll get it. Remember that logo. I know it's not focused, but here we are. And yeah, if you need,
we'll have that running on the video feed once we get this running for y'all too. So.
If you need posters, videos, photos, just let me know. Very affordable too. Willing to work and do just about anything. So yeah, I mean, any type of creative content. I mean, you need. I mean, I did journalism too. If you need me to write a game story, I'm your man, So yeah, Hollywood's Most Humble Productions, HMH Productions, Instagram Hollywood's Most Humble, Facebook Hollywood's Most Humble Productions, and yeah, just want to work.
That's the right way to be, man. Iron sharpens iron all across the board.
Yeah,
I keep on tying back to Mark's saying with that. So
yeah, no, I mean it applies in a lot of different areas. The fight game, and that mentality. If you use that in life, I think it can really do wonders for you. Just that warrior spirit. You don't have to be beating people up to be a warrior. So.
Right. This is kind of the way that I take it as we transition off. Everybody's going to have their bad days. Everybody's going to have the adversity, the bad moments, the trifling experiences that you're going to come across in your life. but it's more so it's a matter of how do you react, how do you adapt, how do you overcome that adversity. That's where real true character is found in film.
Absolutely.
Because you can be that guy who says, "Oh, poor me," or "Why me?" But that's going. You're basically you're going to compound all of those effects.
Yeah.
You are the energy that you attract, and if you're someone who says that, you know what, yeah, that happened bad, but I'm going to take, I'm going to foul that pitch off, and I'm ready to dig back into the box, ready for the pitch to come that I'm going to swing on.
Yeah. No, I've been both guys, man, and this people underestimate how important mental strength is. You know what I mean, and just emotional maturity and being able to just handle life. It's something that they don't teach you in school. They don't. Unfortunately, you kind of have to go through it to learn it. You're not going to learn it in a book, but you got to take the good with the bad, and we're all human. We're all here.
Exactly.
You just kind of. You didn't have a choice, man. So figure it out, So.
Yep, that's the truth. So make sure that you all that are out there listening, you give Hollywood's Most Humble a follow. Check out their work. See how maybe with your projects going forward, we might be able to provide some value for you there. Quick couple of shout outs on my end as we throw this out. Want to throw a shout out to the Terp House. Got Terps, I do. Brandon has done a great job for me and does a great job for all the athletes out there. So make sure that you check out the terphouse.com for the best in the CBD industry for all of your needs on the recovery aspect of your training, or just in general with life. I've got my parents on it helping with general inflammation reduction, so something that's applicable for everyone across the board. I want to throw a shout out also to Beyond Bridges Music as well as Lion League Music. They've done a lot of work for us here with comments from the Peanut Gallery and just a lot of mutual things across the board. So shout out to all of you guys out there, and also want to throw one out for Selena Rowland, who just came away with a victory, first round submission via Americana last week. And then at the end of the month, comments from the Peanut Gallery's very own Jordan Totoni. He throws down at I believe it's the Buffalo Run Casino down in New Mexico. But nonetheless, Jordan Totoni fights at the end of the month. So Mr. Tappernap, ready to see another one, buddy.
That's right. Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate you taking the time.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Enjoy your day, people.
Dinner place for Judas, niggas claiming family, I no sacrifice. Grip a 40, sip a 40 for them gutter pains. Keep a release on the mobile for them show me nice. I ain't living right, long live the game. Maximize capital, finite physical. Fuck metaphorical, my whole life digital. Dash for that play, now I'm playing, I never play though. And chords get stringy when you tired line the queso. Dímelo mijo, that's what they say when I free flow. Might wet that sweet spot, that's less love me flowing. From no M state, still screaming BMO. My time is my time, homie, I speed slow. No eyes, strong ties, fuck a Rico. Give thanks, drive slow and stack peso. Kiss your minds out the male da beso, yeah. Lay low and stay cool, the shit stressful, boy.
That's why I stay high. Look, there they go, macadamian, don't know what brainy in a match of cranium, so we roll up on you like Damien in that Mercedes Benz. Got weed and drink with some lady friends who got the latest shit, but they fans and shit, so I ain't hit. Damn, here go the bass again, renovate your place again. We on the Vegas Strip, rockin' straight out that bodega shit. We so legit, with no limit like I'm Soldier Slim, but I'm more like PMC. Pinkies up, feel me? Got my soldiers with me and my youngest down the ride. Got some bread up in the hills, got some sauce up on the side. Got Tino in here working like a nigga working nights. Said your girl just ain't his type. She just trying to catch a ride and she with it. And she so committed. Damn, your boy is fresh to death and you ain't even seen it. We cut from a different cloth and you can check my linens. Cause I was trying to stand out when you was trying to fit in. Adios.